Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Monday of Cosmic Classroom. We are going to dive into some of the asteroids today. And I'm actually really excited because, well, I'm always excited to talk about astrology, as all of you guys are fully aware. But I was doing some research because, there's a ton of asteroids for literally anything. And we're going to go through how you can find these in your own charts. But there's literally an asteroid for everything. Some asteroids, like, I don't know every asteroid. And so I was looking some of the ones up that I wanted to mention. And then I went a bit deeper into some of the other ones that I didn't know as much about. So if one of them speaks more to you than others, that's totally normal and okay. As I always say, like, we're not always meant to know like everything there is to know about, some of the signs or the things in our charts until we get to know them. So at certain times things might unlock more than others, and that's totally normal and okay. So, what I wanted to bring up was the asteroids today. So, for those of you who don't know, we do have asteroids in astrology. Asteroids kind of they're really cool to talk about when we're thinking of like the mythology and where astrology came from. They're really represented by the gods and the goddesses and sort of the energy that played in a role way back when. So they tell a bit of a story, but they can also represent certain things in our own charts. So before we go through, some of the ones we're going to talk about today is Chiron, of course, Vesta, Kyris, Pallas, Athena, Juno, Eris, Fortune, Fortuna, so part of Fortune, and then Fortuna, and then Midas are a couple of the ones that I wanted to mention today. And if I didn't mention one of those and you have one below that you want to share, please feel free to do so. Okay, let's pull up the chart. So the chart that we are going to use today is the one that we always do, our astro.com. You are going to pull up and use your own for this. So feel free to follow along. Obviously, I've got not astro.com. Yeah, astro.com pulled up here. And I've got the back end. So, like, once you go into your profile, this is what you'll see. Now, all of this stays the same. We don't change anything when we're looking for the asteroids, except we go down here. So there's a section that's called additional objects. If you can't see it, you're going to have to go like this to open it up. And then down here at the bottom, we've got part of Fortuna, Pars Fortune, Vertex. Oh, Lilith. I didn't even mention we're going to talk about Lilith, which we've kind of been talking about already. Chiron, Crius, Pallas, Juno, Vesta, Eris, Phallus, Nessus. I don't know those ones, so I don't know how to pronounce them. Then we have this entire selection over here. So we are going to collect or select some of the ones that are on this side. And to do that, you're going to want to, click the ones you want. So part of Fortuna, but then you're going to press the command or whatever it is that you can select multiple on your computer. We're not going to do Vertex, Lilith, Chiron, Crius, Pallas, Juno, Vesta, Eris. Okay, so we're going to click those. And then we're going to come over to asteroid name and number list, because this is going to allow you to actually access more that we don't have access to on this selection, if it will work. Okay, give me 1 second. Sometimes this is really slow when I have Zoom also working. Oh, technology. Okay, let's go back and try this again. Bear with me. Hopefully this is giving you guys time to set it up. I just had to reload it. Okay, so then under this list here, hopefully these will stay. Then you're going to want to click the F because we're going to find Fortuna. Now this you actually have to scroll for. So these are all asteroids. There is literally an asteroid for pretty much anything you can think about. I'm not kidding you. So in this case, we're just going to look for fortune. So we want to go FO. So currently we're in FA. Here it is, number 19. Okay, clicking that one. And then we're also going to go to Midas. So that's an M. So we want to go MI. MID. So I went too far. Here it is, 1981. Okay, and that's all of them. So we're going to click and show the chart. And then what you'll notice is you're going to have these like other random things added to your chart that maybe you didn't see before. They're also going to be down here. Of course, as I always like to do is click the transits just because it's a habit and it's a good habit to get into. Now, why are we going to talk about these specific transits or these specific asteroids? Partially because these are ones that I feel comfortable teaching, but also I think that they give us a really cool grasp of certain things in our charts. And sometimes I use these with my clients and sometimes I don't. It's really important when we are reading charts for people or when we are talking about astrology to meet people where they're at. You know, I'm really excited about the information a lot of the times, and I've overwhelmed a lot of people with the information. And that's actually not helpful. It's going to be like, it's too much for them. So learning to give people what they can handle or what they have capacity for in knowledge and information is something we have to be mindful of. So I don't want to overload us, but I will try and get through some of these. So obviously with Chiron, if we start there, because that's one that we know, right? We typically know our Chiron. A lot of us have been talking about Chiron and what that means for us in our own charts. Chiron, we know, is the wounded healer. And part of Chiron's myth was about he was half man, half horse. He went through a lot in his life. And basically the gods were like, yo, you've been through enough. We're going to make you immortal. But in turn, you need to help heal others through what you've been through. So I guess you could even it's kind of shamanistic in a sense. So wherever Chiron is in your chart shows you where there is healing, where your deep wounded triggers are, but also where you can then help others with, right? I have been plugging away at this one. What does this mean for me? As I'm sure you guys have, since we've been talking so much about it. So interesting because Chiron, you know, the wounds I have in the 5th house. How would you break that down? We know 5th house is about birth, about creativity, about our passions, our joy, children, right? Fertility. And I've been open about this, but like that desire I have to really potentially be a doula in the future. I could definitely see Chiron in Cancer being something that's affiliated with that. But in your own chart, you can look and see, okay, what is Chiron in? What's the sign it's in? And how does that energy correlate? I know some of you have Chiron in Virgo, healer energy, being of service. Where do you step into service in a way that feels really intuitive? It feels really supportive and it comes naturally to you. That can tell you about what this Chiron energy is for you, okay? Now, I won't go too much more into this because we've already talked a lot about Chiron, but it's always a good one to explore more of. Okay, I want to talk about Vesta. So let's find Vesta in the chart. We go down here to the side. Vesta looks like this. It's kind of like a little flame. It's funny. It kind of reminds me of like my grandma used to smoke, and on the smoke pack, there was like a flame that looked like this, which kind of is funny that was that's now how I associate it, right? So in this person's chart, mine, I have Vesta in Taurus in the 2nd house. What does Vesta mean? So again, do some digging on your own if you feel, but the interpretation that I've come up for with Vesta is our internal flame, sort of spiritual devotion and a healing goddess energy. So this could potentially look like wherever I am potentially meant to put my energy, or I guess some sort of have like a spiritual devotion to this side. Now, of course, this is something that I haven't really fully unlocked, so I don't know exactly what this could look like for me. But just knowing it's in the sign of Taurus, that's interesting because as someone who doesn't have a lot of Taurus placements, I do have an asteroid there, which again just gives you another layer to your chart. You can also see what aspects are being made to Vesta, if any. In this case, it's opposing Pluto in the 8th house. This is definitely a financial dynamic for sure. A lot of healing. It's a healing goddess energy, which is very funny if we think of some of the things I've been doing to heal this lineage that my family has had with finances, money, resources, yada yada. So look and see where Vesta is for you. Do you resonate with the flame of devotion or the healing goddess energy that it shows up as in your chart? Okay, the other one we want to look at is Kyris. I think I'm saying that right. Kyris is this one. So kind of looks like a hook, like a captain hook. Kyris is here. I have Kyris in the sign of Scorpio. So it's over here, hooks, right at 2 degrees. What does Kyris mean? So this one I actually thought was pretty interesting for a couple reasons. And I do want to dive into this a bit further in my own life. And I encourage you guys to as well. But some of the points that I came up with for Kyris is motherhood, forming relationships. So family relationships, transitions in female life, nurture. Okay, this was interesting. So it said nurturing qualities received as a child, which then you replicate in your adulthood, which I find very fascinating because of the fact that, like, obviously we repeat a lot of old cycles. Well, we're also here to really change and change dynamics within our grouping. And for those of you who are parents, like, maybe this is a great one for you to look into and see what sign it is in for you and see if you relate. For myself, it's interesting because I have 2 parents that are Scorpios and they're both the male side. I also have a lot of trauma that's 8th house. 8th house is a trauma place within those dynamics. And so that would be very interesting to see that my Kyris is there. And that's something, if I wanted to work with the energy of that house, I would want to look into further. So let's see. And then you're going to go down and see, where is Kyris? Is there any aspects? Right away, there's a square to Saturn. Of course there is. So this person has a square to their Saturn in the 11th. This could be a dynamic that is challenging within, if we take Kyris as, family relationships, challenging off with communal relationships, a desire for freedom with Aquarius, right? Between the head-butting relationships potentially of the family with that energy. So curious, what is your Kyris below? I think I'm going to look more into that one because I feel like that's definitely a place where there could be a lot of healing that also comes up. Oh, also squaring my Mercury. Okay, let's look down here. What's the next one? Pallas Athena. So Pallas or Pallas Athena is a pretty popular asteroid. You'll hear a lot of astrologers talk about this one. She rules things like talents, the arts, your wisdom, intuition, justice, art. Yeah. And so Pallas Athena is definitely an asteroid that does get talked about a lot. I would say Chiron and Lilith are like the most popular right now, but Pallas Athena and Eris are another one, which we'll talk more about. So you can look and see, where's your Pallas Athena. She looks like this. She's a little triangle top. So this one is in the 7th house, which we know is of partnerships and relationships. And obviously it's intuition, wisdom, justice, and art. So this person has it retrograde. So this might be an internal learning or lesson for them, potentially around what it feels like to have equality in relationships, or to exert their creativity through or with others or through service, right? Virgo is also of service. Again, I haven't looked much into this one, but I do think it's definitely one to consider as, if this is one that does call to you, feel into the energy. Like for me personally, just like looking at this, we haven't gotten to all of them yet, but I might actually, for example, I kind of feel more called to Kyris than Pallas Athena right now. And so that's totally up to you in terms of how you then want to go forward and start to understand that part of your chart. Okay, let's talk about Juno. Juno is one I do like to talk about. And the way that I describe Juno is the energy in which we are attracted to someone. It doesn't necessarily mean this is going to be the person we marry or that we are in a relationship with. It doesn't mean it's going to be the sign that they're in. It just means that there's going to be part of your soul that is attracted to the energy that Juno gives off. So in this case, where is Juno? We want to go down here and look. Juno kind of looks like a star on top of a stick right here, or a snowflake. And this person has it in the 10th house. So we already know that the energy that this person might be attracted to is it might even be seen in the public life. This other person might have a public persona. And it's in the sign of Capricorn. So this person might be, more drawn towards people who are quite ambitious, goal-oriented. They might meet them at work. They might have that energy of Capricorn of being like maybe building something with someone. Those are the energies that they might feel into. So you can look and see where is Juno in your chart? What house is it in? What sign is it in? Because if you have it in Libra, maybe you're drawn to someone who's like, very artsy, or maybe they're a little bit more indie or eclectic in a sense. If it's someone who's in Gemini, maybe you're really attracted to people who are writers or comedians or who speak and have like words and really like get you thinking, So these are ways that you can kind of look and see where this shows up for you. If you are married or are in a relationship or have been in a significant partnership, I would say look and see where is this, and does this relate to the person that I am with or that person I was with? I can tell you 100% those are qualities that I look for in someone. It would be my dream to be with someone who's also an entrepreneur, because those are qualities that I also like, right? So something to think about for sure. And then of course you can see where is that in your own chart. You want to find Juno. So Juno's here making any aspects. This person has it conjunct Uranus. There's a in conjunct between Jupiter. That's actually interesting because Jupiter can talk about the person that you're attracting if you're a female. It's a bit of an awkward angle. And they also have a sextile. So you can see that there is some really supportive aspects there. There's some interesting connections that might come for this person, or the way that they meet their partner, right? Sextile to Venus. So there is a nice aspect there. Okay, the next one we want to talk about is Eris. So Eris is down here. Eris is another one that's been getting a lot more attention. And again, it's not one that I tend to use as much in my readings, but it is one of the more popular asteroids if you were going to use it. So with Eris is a bit of the rebel. Eris has a bit of a rebellious side. Strength and discord. That's what Eris represents. So strife and discord, sorry, but there is an element of strength to this energy. So you want to see where is Eris? It just says Eris. Well, this person has it in their first house. So this could relate to their body or finding strength in themselves in the sign of Aries, which is already like quite a powerful sign, right? Excuse me. And that fiery energy, you want to bring in the element of Aries or whatever sign it's in into that Aries, Eris element. So And then again, you want to dig deeper and say, what is Eris doing in their chart? There's 2 squares to their Uranus and to their Neptune in the 11th house. There is also a sextile to their sun, which is in the 12th house. Now you can depict that in any way that you want to in your own chart. You want to take, all of those meanings and start to put them together. But on the most mundane level, what sign is Eris in your chart? Is it in the sign of Taurus? Is it in the sign of Scorpio? What does that look like in terms of the way that you rebelled as a child or as a teenager or as an adult? What does that look like for you to have strength and grit? That is what Eris is. It asks us to have a lot of strength and grit with Eris. Okay, the next one that I want to mention is these 2 that I've added. So these are a couple here that I really, really like. So Fortuna is an interesting one because there are these 2 asteroids I was actually told about when I started doing the business readings. So like charts for people's businesses. And what ended up happening was I was talking to another friend who's an astrologer, and she was like, oh my gosh, have you looked at these? And then I started digging into them and I was like, oh my God, I need this in my own chart. So fortune or Fortuna is like this, not the same as part of fortune, which we will come back to, but fortune is said to be part of an asteroid in the chart that shows where fortune might come easily to someone. Now, I have this at the bottom of my chart and it's in the 4th house, which could mean that there could be something coming through family or the lineage line. But it's in the sign of Gemini. So, I mean, again, it could be through creativity. It could be through something that, is done through the home, which makes sense for me as well. But, it's just, if you feel like you want to look more into that and see how it plays out in your life, do it. Because again, I really like looking at this one for business charts to see like, okay, where would it be best to like place this? But just knowing where like fortune might come easier to us is great. I could definitely see this being potentially something that comes through 4th house, home and family, yes, or maybe like a property, even if that's something that I chose to do in my lifetime, or even just like through different homes, like 2 different homes, which has been, as a child from a divorced family, makes sense. Okay. Again, you can go down here and see what's happening, if anything. And then the other one I wanted to talk about that I added was Midas. And as you can imagine, Midas, like the Midas touch. Where does this person have the Midas touch? Things like they can touch something and it can come to life. Of course, there's always a shadow aspect with everything, including the asteroids. We have to learn to work with them. But in this case, Midas, where do we have that special touch? This person has it in Taurus, so that divine feminine empress energy in the 2nd house of money and resources. Again, fascinating given everything I'm learning, but there is a Midas touch in this area of their chart, okay? So in those qualities of Taurus, they can really amplify them. And not to mention it's really close to, it's conjunct their other asteroid, Vesta. So there's something here. There's something here for this person to dive into. Midas trines their Saturn, so this might be lessons they learn through their Saturn return or through community. They might create finances through community, by building a community, becoming a leader of a community, something like that. Okay? But Midas touch, there's a Midas touch in this energy of Taurus. So where is your Midas? What is showing up? How does that relate to what you know about your life already? And potentially something that you're looking forward to in the future. Okay. The other piece to this puzzle that we wanted to talk about was part of fortune and Lilith. So mine are up here. Part of fortune looks like the bullseye, and it's also a good place, kind of like the pot of gold in your chart. So the part of fortune is this energy where you can really feel like you're going to hit the mark, okay? This person has it in their 10th house. You know that this is about career and public standing, conjunct their MC, which is really about career. There's something in this person's career life that feels like they have this like pot of gold for them if they embrace the qualities of their part of fortune, which for them is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius energy, we know, is about exploring, being wise, about being the teacher. And so bring in the qualities of your part of fortune and say, okay, where do I feel like there's some great opportunities that come to me through this energy of my chart? What is going on with their part of fortune? Anything? It's a bit of an inconjunct to Chiron, not a major aspect. Then you got Lilith, which we've also been speaking a little bit about. And as we know, Lilith is that like divine, feminine, rebellious energy that's like basically takes no shit. And this person has it in their 9th house of higher understanding, spiritual awareness, learning, and it's in Sag. So this could be, someone who's connected to learning things in different ways, or even being like a teacher. Sagittarius is also a teacher in the 9th house, teaching or learning lessons that is a little bit more rebellious, doing things in a little bit more of a different way, a different approach to what they're learning or their perspectives. So again, it's at 21 degrees, so you can conjunct the MC. This probably is going to happen in this person's career. So you can look and see what this looks like for you. Where is Lilith? Where does that feminine urge of like, F this come out, which we talked about last week and some of you shared already. So your homework this week is to actually go through these asteroids, and I want you to write them out below for us so we can see what your asteroids are in. Now, I'm going to write them out below and the ones that I want you to find, but go back over this video, watch where they are, pull them out in your own chart, and see which ones you have and feel into which ones feel the most like that you want to explore more of. Okay. That is it for the asteroids this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I can't wait to read your answers below. I'll see you next week.